What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today in this video, guys, we are going to talk to you about some Thorchain strategies with, well, thorswap. So it's Thorchain, whatever. Same junk, different day. Now, a lot of you guys are like, what the snap? Thorchain is pamping. And I'm like, yeah, it is pamping. It's got a nice flywheel. So there's different ways you guys can capitalize on this and different strategies you guys can use. This is going to be a quick 5 to 10 minute video. If you guys are wanting a more in-depth beginner's guide on thorswap or Thorchain, made a video earlier on that, like 2 days ago or something like that. And also some like months ago when Thorchain was like doing its gig. But Thorchain's back. Let's go! So the strategies I'm going to talk about today are risky, least risky, okay risk, and like semi-risk. Like it's just going to be a mix. This is my ADHD notes for you guys so you guys can follow along as well. But we're going to walk through each of these as we go. The first one is if you just simply want to get exposure to Thorchain and you just don't know what to do, well, you can simply just buy the RUNE token. Like literally the actual RUNE token itself. If we go over here, you can literally buy RUNE. So if I wanted to swap some, let's say for example, USDC into some RUNE and I wanted to invest $1,000, well, I would get 127 RUNE. So technically, not technically, but the price of this would be $7.82 for every single RUNE. Now, let's say for example, I get all that, I get the RUNE price, I'm glad, this is awesome. What do I need to know about this? Well, when you are just buying RUNE, you're not staking it, not doing anything with it. You are not exposed to impermanent loss. So if you're uber bullish on RUNE, this is a good thing. You are at risk to the downside. So if RUNE goes to zero, well, you can lose all your money. If RUNE 10x's, well, you can 10x your money. So that's something to keep in mind. If RUNE stays stagnant, well, you would have missed out on the opportunity cost on DeFi in the yields. If you look at their yields are actually pretty spicy. You even have like 92% on stablecoins. Like, what the snap, dude? That's pretty fire sauce. So that is the first thing. Now, the second one is LPing with stablecoins. This is going to be a middle risk. There is no capped downside to this. So there is a chance you can lose everything, even LPing with stables, but it won't be as volatile as holding the RUNE asset. And there's different ways that you can do this. Say, for example, you want to provide liquidity on a DAI stablecoin and get 92% interest. Well, you just deposit DAI and call it a day. What are you looking for when you deposit into this strategy? Well, what you're looking for is RUNE to either A, stay the same price, or B, increase in price. Because if it goes down in price, well, that's not going to be a good thing because automatically when you're selling into these pools, 50% is going into RUNE. However, keep in mind, it's not all bad. You can still make money, even in fact, more money than some protocols, even if it goes down a certain amount. Let me show you an example. We're going to use the handy dandy LP calculator on Thor yield. I'm sorry. This is one of my favorite tools that's on the Thorchain ecosystem. And the tool is like straight fire sauce. I mean, dude, it is like water that pours. It's amazing. So on Thor yield, all you have to do is this. We're going to use the price of DAI. We're going to say the DAI price goes from $1 at the price of entry, and the price prediction is $1. Like, dude, no brainer. It's a stable coin. Yes, there's such thing as off peg, but dude, come on. Like, work with me here. And let's say we invest $5,000. Now, the Thorchain price or the RUNE price stays the exact same. Well, as we can see here, we would have made $3,650. So we're happy. That's if the price stays the same. Now, say the price goes to $4. Now, at this point in time, we would still make money. Even almost going down 50% with the APRs and APYs that it's currently paying, we would still make $1,700, which on the yield of $5,000, that's almost 40%. So it's about 35%. So that's still really good. But if it goes to zero, well, it's wrecked. Like, you got zero. If it goes to 1, you're losing $700. If it goes to 50 cents, well, you're losing $1,400, and then like as you go down more and more, it'll get rough. So what are the chances of it doing that? Well, I mean, there's always a chance of that. And keep in mind, this is after 10 months. So after 12 years, it'll be a little bit different, obviously. So the longer you keep it in the pool, the APYs will pay up for it as long as the token doesn't go to zero. So that is something to keep in mind as well. So that's the second strategy, is LPing with it, and there is no cap downside. So there's a chance it goes to zero, but there's also no capped upside. So it's got unlimited upside. So say, for example, RUNE goes to $1,000. Well, I mean, dude, you literally turn $5,000 into $8,500. I mean, come on now. Seriously? Like, that is some serious yield right there. But yeah, have fun. So now the third one is LPing RUNE with a like asset, so similar to RUNE. So this would be something like Thor. So Thor or XRune, these are RUNE native assets, like the Thorchain ecosystem native assets. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So Thor governance token, this is also a native asset. Let's see, we have Thor right here, XRune. These are native assets to the Thorchain ecosystem. This is almost like buying Trader Joe on Avalanche. It's going to have a leverage exposure that is reflexive to the Thorchain price. So Thorchain goes up usually when Bitcoin goes up. So Bitcoin up, Thorchain up, then your altcoin on the Thorchain ecosystem goes up. If Bitcoin goes down, Thorchain usually goes down. The asset that is on the Thorchain ecosystem gets wrecked, like it's wreckage. That's normally what happens. However, if Thorchain explodes, the altcoin just like gigapumps. So that's usually how the game is played. So you have Bitcoin, slow mover, moves up and down, 2%, 4%. Thorchain, it'll be like a reflexive. So like Bitcoin's like this, RUNE's like this, altcoin is like this. It's like, what the snap is going on? So that's how you can factor in the volatility of them. But it has a really high and quick upside. So similar to Polygon and QuickSwap. Like QuickSwap went up, I don't know, like 500-600%, or even like 700% when Polygon was at $1 to $3. So like Polygon at a 300, QuickSwap was like a 600. So that's how you can keep everything relative. Actually, it probably went more than that, but still. Let me just show you guys the chart so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I mean, like, dude, check out this chart. It's like $155 all the way to what? What is that? $1,500? That's a 10x. So it went up 1,000%. It's pretty good. So that's how you can keep that in mind. And the middle to high risk would be taking that asset and pairing it with RUNE. So it would simmer down the volatility, but it still gives you exposure to both of those assets, and it still earns you a yield. So you're earning a yield, and you have exposure to the Thorchain ecosystem, and you have that exposure to the upside plus a yield. So it's almost like staking RUNE, but it's not really staking RUNE. If you didn't know, you cannot stake RUNE. You literally can't. You either LP it in a pool, or you just sit on your hands and be like, what the snap. You can lend it out on KuCoin, so that is an option as well. But that's something to keep in mind. I do have a link in the description if you guys want to sign up for KuCoin. It does give discounted trading, but yeah, that's KuCoin. I mean, me personally, I recommend DeFi, so just FYI. Anyways, the last strategy is to simply just buy one of the, well, second to last strategy is simply buying one of these Thorchain altcoins and just staking it, or you can hold it. Like the Thor token, you can stake this token. So if you go over here, right to Thor, and you hit stake, you can stake this and earn about 93%. So you have exposure to the altcoin, you have exposure to the upside, and you have the staking yields. Keep in mind, this is a very risky strategy because this depends on the Thorchain doing well. Also probably depends on Bitcoin doing well because Bitcoin usually tells the crypto markets. And it also depends on, well, that altcoin doing well because there are some altcoins that are native to Thorchain, or for example, like on Avax, Pangolin did not do well at all compared to Trader Joe. Trader Joe went up like 30,000, well, not 30,000, but it was like 5,000%. And Pangolin was like, it was horrible. It was bad. It was like sour milk. It was not cool. So yeah, and the final and last strategy is tranches. I went over this in the last video, but here's the TLDR on it. Some of these pools are risky. Remember, if you're LPing with it, there is no cap downside. Like, your downside is 0, but you do have an upside that's unlimited technically. So what is the tranche strategy? Well, say for example you have $10,000 and you want to get exposure to the Thorchain ecosystem. Well, what you would do is you take these $10,000, split it up into 5 and 5. You put this $5,000 into a safer strategy that's not in the Thorchain ecosystem. You can use something like Aave, Anchor Protocol, whatever. This will have no exposure to the Thorchain ecosystem, but you will have a more calculated APR or APY. Because like if you're depositing on Thorchain, you are technically depending on the price of RUNE. So the other $5,000, you're going to throw it into Thorchain. That way, the risk to the downside is, well, out of the $10,000, and say you use Anchor and get a 20% yield, your risk is $4,000. Why is that? Well, because if you turn $5,000, 20% yield, to $6,000, and the yield on Thorchain goes to 0, well, your original investment was $10,000. Minus $6,000 because you made some, you lost $4,000. But if this does really well, Thorchain stays the same price as we showed to you guys on Thor yield, you would basically turn your $10,000 into about $17,000 or $18,000. Whereas if you just threw it all into Anchor, it would just be 12. So the power of tranches is you can increase your principal and the amount that you have at a quicker rate and get exposure to the upside, but yet you can cap your downside. So that's how you can look at tranches. If you want to play around with that strategy, I made a full Twitter thread so you guys can jump around, play around with it, check it out. I'll make sure to leave it in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys haven't tried Thorchain, make sure you guys give it a look. Not financial advice. It is a lot of fun to play around with. Also, if you guys want to jump in the Discord, there is a link in the description below. It is the Patreon link. Make sure you guys do the VIP tier. And if you want to know what to expect in Discord, there are going to be exclusive videos that I do not show on YouTube, as well as a Discord chat that is a private group where you can chat with a bunch of other DeFi DJs just like you. And I am in there every single day. And yeah, I'm probably reminding you, don't forget, don't sleep on RUNE. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let's hit you with a wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 17, verses 9. Whoever would foster love covers over an offense, but whoever repeats the matter separates close friends. Guys, you do something wrong, say I'm sorry, don't do it again. If you do it again, dude, why'd you say I'm sorry in the first place? You guys can also catch me on tweeters at rent a home fast, like literally at rent a home fast.